Hey everybody, it's Dave, Blue Jacket 66 here for another video. Haven't made one in a while, been kind of busy. Started thinking about ideas. I certainly have a upcoming video that will be highlighting a really interesting set, the W575-1 and 2 sets and their correlation with the E120 and 121 sets. And I have a fantastic W575-2 card to show that I'm going to bring out of the vault, and I think that'll be the name of it, Out of the Vault episode 1. I'm going to start perhaps bringing out some of my better cards, and a lot of them that I haven't shown before. But tonight I wanted to make a little video on cards that I have sold in the past that I really regret selling. Really regret is maybe a little bit strong. There's certainly degrees of regret or even sorrow or about having lost a card or sold a card, but really I'm a collector. I don't really sell a lot of cards, but we all do, whether you're a collector to whatever degree you're a collector. I can't think of hardly anyone who hasn't sold a card before. It's all kind of a natural process. We sell cards to acquire funds for getting a different card, or funds for even more important things. You know, the benefit of the family, a car repair, a mortgage payment, a sick child, or whatever. So there's lots of great reasons for selling sports cards and baseball cards. Sometimes there's not a great reason, and that's kind of when you regret selling, I think. And more importantly, you don't really regret selling a card if it's easily replaceable. So the cards I'm going to show are some cards that are either irreplaceable or their prices have accelerated enough over time where I thought I would replace them, and it just became probably highly unlikely that I'm going to do so. One card that comes to mind that I regret selling, not because I want the card, because I don't want the card. If I still had the card, I'd be selling it now. And that was my, I'll tell the story. 5 or 6 years ago, I'm kind of rummaging around in a cedar box my grandfather had made way back, probably in the 40s, and kind of kept stuff in there, cards and autograph balls and old sets and stuff. But I hadn't been around in that cedar box in quite a while. So 5 or 6 years ago, I'm rummaging around in it, and I find it wasn't even in a one-touch. It was just in a penny sleeve and a top loader, a 2000 Bowman Chrome Tom Brady refractor. So I thought that's a good thing there. I don't like Tom Brady. I have 5 or 6 really good Tom Brady cards that are very valuable. But I don't really like Tom Brady, and I thought this may be a way. I probably paid for a few bucks for it way back when. So I sent it off to PSA, and it came back a 9. So a 9 back then was worth like $10,000, and that's me essentially finding $10,000 in a cedar box. I don't care if he's the greatest of all time. I don't like Tom Brady. I collect pretty much what I like. I don't tend to collect players or things that I don't like, which probably limits my collection to a degree. But I have no interest in collecting cards, and I collect cards. I don't buy cards for appreciation or whatnot of players that I don't like or things that disinterest me. So I sold it, and you can imagine what it goes for now. So I don't regret selling it per se, because I made a good profit on it, but I regret not holding it for a few more years so I made a really big profit, then get rid of it. So let's go through some of the cards that I just started thinking about. I just started thinking about this afternoon. Come up with some cards that I've sold that I wish I still had, and the reasons for that. Maybe some of them I'll have some stories about buying them and selling them. A couple of them, I don't think I have really some good stories. But the first one, I think I'll go from number 5 down to 1, with 5 being the one that I'm not so happy about selling, and number 1 I'm really unhappy about selling, because every single one of these cards I think I have not replaced. Number 5 would be this beautiful card. It's 1894 in 194 Duke cabinet, honest. So it's called honest Duke cabinet. George Davis. I actually consider, if you could, you take polls every once in a while, or over the years, what's the most beautiful set? And people say turkey reds or whatnot. In my eyes, the N194 Duke cabinet set is the most beautiful sports card baseball issue ever made. I don't know much about it. I know that there was 4 baseball players and 3 bicyclists, I believe. I have no idea how they were distributed. Duke, Long Cut, that's a tobacco company. I don't know how they were distributed at all, but they are extraordinarily rare and extraordinarily beautiful. I obtained this one that you see way back in the very early 80s, probably 88 to 81. At that time, I was actually looking for a Christmas present for my dad, and he was putting together the T3 Turkey Red set with those large, we'll say cabinet style cards, as large cards. And, I was looking through a periodic, and I knew which ones he had. So I was looking through some sort of periodical that was selling them, and I found one that he didn't had and ordered it. And I remember it came back. I have no idea what the player was, but it came in the mail. But when I was in that same periodical, I saw this 1894 cabinet card. And these cabinet cards are I think they're little 6 by 9.5 inches, so they're nice size, and they had a picture and it looked pretty. It was black and white pictures, I recall, but I ordered that then. I can't remember really what I paid, but I had it for a very, very long time. Longer than my dad had his Turkey Red set. He sold his T3 set sometime. Maybe he sold it to Al Rose, and I don't know. It just kind of all of a sudden wasn't there. So that's one that I really, really prize. It's a very rare issue. It's very beautiful. It's 19th century and just a classic. And for some reason, it's been 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I was hitting some other parts of my collection really hard, and I liked what I could probably get for this card, so I notified Robert Edwards Auction. It was raw, as you see it there, and I sent it to Robert Edwards Auction. They were really excited about having it. They sent it to SGC, where it came back. I think it came back authentic, which is all you really care about. And there was some questions, some recoloring down on the bottom left corner, which it wasn't recolored. This is over 100-year-old card, and there was some it's thick cardboard. There's some discoloration there, and I was kind of upset about that. And I let Robert Edwards Auction know, should I pull this? I mean, this. I would like to resubmit this. They said it didn't even matter. They said this is such a beautiful issue, such a rare card, and it makes no difference grade. Nobody cares about the grade. All they care is they can see it, they know what it looks like, it's authentic issue, and just leave it as it is. So we did, and it sold for, I don't know, I think it sold for $5,000 or $6,000, as I recall. But I'm sure I did something good with that money. I'm sure I took the family on vacation or, did something very good with it, because I never sell a card just to do something stupid with my money. I either put it back into cards or I have it earmarked for something that's really important. So I'm not worried that I went to a casino and blew it, or got myself a new Sea-Doo or something that's long since gone. Nothing like that. So, but I wish I had it back. You do not see those come up very often, especially the Davis. Just a beautiful piece, and I wish I had it back. Number 4 is this 1921-22 W575-1 Walter Johnson. Specifically, it's the Herpensheimer back. Now, our good friend John Mangini, who knows more about vintage sports cards than I do by a mile, has a W575-1 Walter Johnson card that he says is, to his best of his knowledge, the only one. I would never challenge John Mangini about anything about pre-war cards, but in my opinion, there's probably dozens and dozens of W575-1 Walter Johnson cards, including this one, which is the only known Herpensheimer issue. Now, what we have to realize is, if you do go into population reports of W575-1 cards, they're very, very low populations, but those population reports just are not right. A lot of times if you would look that up in SGC or PSA, that would mean blank back. Now this issue came in blank backs, but it came with a lot of advertising backs. And that's where the problem lies. If you look up John's W575-1 Walter Johnson, I'm sure it'll say there's only one. But the fact of the matter is, there are dozens and dozens, but many of them have ad backs, meaning advertisements on the back, and that's how they're listed in population reports. The ad, and there's, 12, 15 different ad backs. There may be more than that. The ones I'm aware of are Clark's Bread, the Henry A. Johnson back, the Keating Candy, Standard Biscuit, Whitmore Candy, the Herpensheimers, the Wholesome Bread. So those are ad backs. And the interesting is these backs on some of these are professionally backed, like the Herpensheimer is, and other of them are stamped. Keating Candy, the Henry A. Johnson are actually with stamps, and so there's opportunity there to actually fake a stamp on a blank back and just make your own Henry A. Johnson's back stamp. But so for Walter Johnson, there's dozens of W75-1s. They just have different ad backs. Now this Herpensheimer that I had there, that's the only known copy, and I had that for quite some time, and then for some reason at the time I was dealing a lot with Al Crisafulli, was a friend and a fantastic guy, and one of the most trusted and honorable auction houses, Love of the Game Auctions, and I was dealing a lot with him, and he was really wanting some of my cards, and so I did get rid of a lot of nice cards with him, early pre-war cards, and I happened to submit this one to his auction, and it's irreplaceable. It's the only known one, and I'll agree with John, the W575-1 Walter Johnsons are a beautiful card, and they are certainly scarce, but I will probably never have that back. I'd probably like to get one that has a different ad back, or even a blank back, That would be nice, and so I'll be looking for one of those. But look for my next video where I'm going to show you a knockout W575-2, the autograph on the shoulder of just a killer out of the vault card. Okay, number 3. Oh boy, I really missed this one, and I could just kick myself for letting this one go. One of my favorite cards I've actually ever had, and why I sold it, I don't know. That's the 1916 D as in bakery, D381 Christy Mathewson from Fleischmann's Bakery. D. Where was I? So the D381 issue, there's 2 issues, the Fleischmann Bakery and the Ferguson Bakery. Their checklists aren't exactly the same, and I think the Fergusons are a little bit scarcer. But you do not see these very often at all. And this Mathewson I got years and years ago. I've always been a a long-term Mathewson collector, and this is extremely scarce issue. It doesn't have the tab. There's tabs at the bottom for both the Fleischmann and the Ferguson that have some, you know, like a lot of cards back in those times, some redemption. But I got that, and it was like you see here, raw, and I've always had it raw, which is so beautiful. And the coolest thing is on the back, someone wrote on it in period. They didn't write on this in the 1940s or 50s. They wrote on it 1919, out with tuberculosis, which is just incredible. It makes the card fair or poor condition as there's writing on it, but come on, someone wrote on it in 1919, out with tuberculosis. So that was one of my, I just love that card. But I actually posted a picture of it years and years ago on Net 54 Baseball, on that forum, which is the premier vintage cards forum. If you have any interest in pre-war cards, or vintage cards, you have to be on there. Just lurk for 4 years, 5 years, learn something. But anyway, I got a message from somebody who I got to be friends with, and he was very much interested in it. He had written an article in Sports Collectors Daily on it, and he was a big New York fan and from New York. He was a Mathewson lover too. And somehow I was feeling very generous, and I felt that, wait a minute, this sounds like it's someone who actually would appreciate and love this issue even more than me. And that's what it's all about. So I said, I sold the card for a pretty fair price. But what I said was, should you ever want to get rid of it or sell it, I want it. I want it back. That's our deal. I'll sell it to you at a good price. It's very scarce. It's a very rare, beautiful issue. But if you ever want to get rid of it, I get it back at a reasonable price. Maybe appreciated price, that's fine, but a reasonable price. And years later, I think in 2015 or 16, he put it up for sale, I think in Memory Lane. And I'd been friends with him. I was not happy. I'm still not happy about that. It's my fault. I sold it, but it was a handshake, gentleman's agreement that I get for dibs at getting it back, and he reneged on that, so I don't talk to him anymore. Beautiful issue. The Wagners are very, very expensive, super expensive, as are the Cobbs, as you can imagine. But you can get other players, including Hall of Famers. They come up from time to time, and relatively affordable. But I really, really, really regret selling that. Number 2. Man. What came over me that I sold this card? I don't know. Here it is, the 1915 Cracker Jack Joe Jackson. That's the exact card that I sold. All these cards you've seen so far are the cards, the actual cards. The story that is, so I had this 1915 Joe Jackson card. I would describe the condition as probably excellent. And my girlfriend tore it in half. I miss my girlfriend and I miss that card. But nonetheless, I had this half a Cracker Jack Joe Jackson card. Beautiful card. Torn directly in half. So, years later, say, maybe 2008 or so, my dad had the idea of sending it to a conservator and see if we could mend it, get it fixed back together. They do all sorts of fantastic things with paper. So anyway, to make a long story short, send it to California. I can't remember how much it cost. It wasn't cheap, but I don't know. It wasn't real expensive, you know, in retrospect. But and to get this, what can you do with this? Can you repair it? Yep. Came back. You could not tell, if you looked at the front, you could not tell that there had been anything done to it. Not a crease, not a wrinkle, not a shadow. It looked perfect. And the back, where it had been torn in half, the back, however, you could see a white line, part of the repair. A white line. Couldn't feel it, but you could see it. It just looked beautiful. It was perfect. But it was clearly altered. So, to keep it intact, I mean, those cards are very, very fragile. Sent it to PSA and got it authenticated as altered in the slab, and it just looked fantastic. And much to my regret, at some point, I freaking sold. I put it up for auction. This is years ago in one of the legendary, Bill Maestro auction. I could just kick myself. It's stupid. Who sells a Cracker Jack Joe Jackson? I don't know what I was thinking. If I wanted to get some money for something else. At that time, Joe Jacksons were expensive, but I could maybe get a 2 or 3 here down the road, and nope. Those prices of those are just like anything else, but they're just, I don't know. You can't get an authentic one for much better than 25 to 30,000. But a beautiful card. I miss it so much. It was a huge mistake. Dumbo decision. And I will probably never have another card like that. And a lot of vintage and pre-war, when I say vintage, I'm thinking really more pre-war. Some of those cards, the numerical number that a grading company gives it is of zero consequence. I've said this before. I'll probably do a video on it when I'm doing my vintage educational series starting this fall. But it made no difference that it was in an A. It looked like an excellent, and that's what anybody cares about when you're buying these pre-work cards. Number one. Oh boy. Here it is, number one. Blew it. The 1949 Leaf, super short print, Satchel Paige. I got this card, and I do not have a picture of it, so this is not my card. But that's the Paige card. In the very late 70s, around the time or after the time that I'd met him with my dad. You can go back a few videos and see I met Satchel Paige video. But in my book, the only Satchel Paige cards that I really, really like is I just adore the 49 Leaf, but I really, really, the 49 Bowman, it's his best card. I just love that card. People love the 53 tops. It's just not for me. That's kind of a Thomas Hart Benton cartoonish looking. I don't really like it. But the 49 Leaf is kind of funny. I have a love-hate relationship with it. When I sold it, and I sold it for money in 1988, I was freshly married. I was going to do an internship, medical internship in St. Louis. Had zero money. But I knew that my salary was going to be $16,500 a year as an intern, working, 100 hours a week. I was quite thrilled to make that kind of money. As freshly married, we had zero money, and my wife was going to get a job at Macy's, so I wasn't going to get a first paycheck for 2 weeks. And we're talking, we went to Aldi's and bought peanut butter and cereal, and somehow, I can't remember how, paid a first month rent for $400 a month. So, after 2 weeks, I got my pay, yay, pay, here's my pay. I'm making $16,500 a year, and I had that all worked out in my mind, what that was going to be for me as a paycheck every 2 weeks. Well, I was pretty naive. I had always worked. I'd never worked a job that you're getting really W-2s and whatnot. I did a couple jobs like that, but primarily I made a lot of money. I taught tennis all summer long for colleges and for tennis clubs. I taught tennis. So my pay was essentially cash and checks. So I got this paycheck from my first one being an intern, and there was not 16,500 divided by 26. That's not the amount that was on my paycheck. There's all sorts of shit missing from it. So I went to the educational director and I knocked on his door and I said, "There's a little problem with my paycheck here." He goes, "What's that?" I said, "There's hardly any money." And he had to point out to me about FICA and state taxes. And I knew, they took out taxes, but Medicare and FICA and all this other stuff and whatever else they were taking, I didn't know. So I was like, shit. So I need to get some funds. So that's why I sold my 1949 Leaf Satchel Paige at a card store in St. Louis. I think I had obtained that card probably at they had these summer shows in Kansas City at the Glenwood Theater. They were fantastic shows. That's my early shows. But at this, I said Glenwood Theater, but it was also a hotel. And so in their convention room, they had a show every August. I'm not sure if I got it there or if I got it in at a St. Louis at a Holiday Inn show there on Lindbergh. They had those more often. But this would have been a card that I'd have gotten out of a binder, and that I kept in a binder. So to raise some funds, I sold that in 1988 to, new starting life needs some money. So I really can't say that I regret the reason that I sold it, but boy, it was a pretty nice card. I can't remember. You know, it was good to very good or something like that. But you have to realize that if you take a look at a lot of these 49 leaf Satchel Paiges, they really have severe registration problems. And as much as I love that card, some of the registrations are so bad that the eye appeal is not there for me. And so I passed over the chance to reaccumulate cards because some of them are just the registration so bad. I don't really like it. Within the past couple years or year even, I think I've seen one that was low grade that had very good registration, but they're astronomical in price now. So I don't know if there's, of all of these that we've talked about so far, if I could only have one of those back, I think it would be the 49 leaf Satchel Paige. If I could get one that had some nice registration, but it's part of the regret is it's become an unobtainable card. Not so much because of scarcity, it's just because of the price tier it's at now. So that's it. That's my top five, or at least 5 that I could think of this afternoon, cards that I regret selling, kind of the story behind them and the reasons. They're not your, I don't think, kind of run-of-the-mill cards. You may have started this video thinking that I regret selling a 52 Mantle or a 63 Rose or something like that. Those wouldn't be as interesting, I don't think, but thanks for watching. Hoping my next video will be this outstanding out of the vault W575-2 card that is just dynamite. So thanks for watching and have a good week.